What's up, everyone? I'm Logan with 89 Auto Works, and I just want to go ahead and say right now thank you to everyone that got entered to win the Force Performance Turbo and the giveaway. We have drawn winners at this point. I have not released the video announcing all the winners, but they do know who they are, and we will be releasing a video for that soon. There's some details I'm trying to iron out with some people, and I am hoping, thank God, the person that won the turbo is somebody that actually has a car that they can build with the turbo. So I am trying very hard to see if there's some sort of arrangement we can come up with to get the car on the channel and hopefully get the car built on the channel. I think that'd be something that'd be very fun to go and have the second half of this be a customer build. That's a pretty big fun deal for a lot of people. So today we're going to be diving into the fuel setup on Subaru Jake's 2006 Subaru STI. For the backstory on this car, it has been sitting for over 8 years now not running, and the unfortunate thing was there was gas in the tank the whole time. We had drained the gas out last year in hopes of doing good things. And the problem was there is so much rust on the inside of the tank that we ended up having to drop the tank. For those of you that don't know, on a GD chassis Subaru, you basically have to drop the whole rear suspension and everything out to be able to get the gas tank out. So I thought this would be a great time to give you guys a pretty detailed video on installing a bigger fuel system in your Subaru. So this car is going to be starting off with a single Walbro 450 fuel pump, and we are going to be running it through a -8 feed line all the way to the front, and then a -6 return line coming all the way from the front. Now we are going to be retaining the stock hanger, so there is some things to note here. On a stock hanger, one of the most restrictive points in the whole system is the 5/16 quick connect fitting that comes off of the actual pump itself. What ends up happening is the end of it is tapered down significantly, reducing your fuel flow. So what we're going to be doing is going from this point to a -8 line, which greatly reduces the amount of restriction you have feeding fuel to the engine. And a -8 line will be good for just about ever. Eventually this car will go to a dual pump hanger. It just wasn't in the cards for right now, but that is in the plans for this car. So this is a stock 2006 Subaru STI fuel pump, and we are going to be taking it apart and getting this set up properly to run a Walbro 450. All right, guys, so kind of just jumping forward here, we are at the end of the video, and I'm going to go back to the beginning here. This is going to be a two-part video. The main reason being is because I wanted to be able to make sure that I was showing you guys proper enough how to get the job done, and not just showing you guys kind of the step-by-step. So we are going to have the first part of this video be the plumbing of the video, and the second part of this video is going to be the actual electrical wiring in and how to properly wire in your hardwire kit to your fuel pump so you're getting full voltage to your fuel pump. So make sure you stick around for part 2. Smash this link right here if you are looking to get to the second part of this video. For now, this is going to be all there is, but yeah, let's talk about parts, because that's kind of a big deal. So this is a genuine, legit TI Automotive Walbro 450, legit OEM, not fake. I mean, you can go on Amazon and buy these things and they're fake. They are not Walbro 450s. So we have that, and then we also have the TI Automotive Walbro 450 fuel pump install kit. Okay, so that is over here. Then over here we have the hell's the brand of this one? I don't even remember. Then over here we have a White Products fuel pump install kit. So I've ordered both. Now why did I order both? Because you cannot do the whole job with one. So this one, you need the angled style sock, the in-tank fuel filter, for this to work. And the big reason is because if you don't, it will not suck all of the gas out of the bottom of the tank, right? The other one's gonna sit like this, and that ain't gonna do it. So we need the TI Automotive in-tank screen, and this one will get kept for a later project. Then the Walbro 450 comes with a different style connector than the factory harness would be. This would be the factory harness for a Walbro 255, AEM 340, whatever. This is the style you need. Has a little bit different plug on the end of it. Not what we need. But what we do need is this style plug that has the built-in big, I guess, rubber grommet, and it's watertight seal, plugs in, clips in, legit. That's how you plug this in. And then we are going to end up either one of two ways. You're either going to take this, which will plug into the bottom of the inside of the fuel pump, and you will wire these two together, solder them, do it legit the right way, run it through the factory plug. Or you can get a pass-through kit, and there's actually Hardwire Kit for hardwiring the proper, you would be basically putting a stud, and the wires would go to that, and then you'd have wires that would go on the top of it. Because the other part of this is on the inside of the car, we're going to be running a Deatschwerks Hardwire Kit for the fuel pump, and we are going to be running, significantly more power to this fuel pump than a factory one. So what ends up happening is you burn out the terminals on the connector here, and it gives you problems. The other part of this that you will need is going to be the Torque Solutions or any brand 5/16 quick connect fittings. Dash 8 is for the feed and the Dash 6 is for the return. So that's the big things we will end up needing for the actual fuel pump install. I do have the Deatschwerks Hardwire Kit over there, but that's something we will talk about at a later time. All right, so just kind of to wrap up what we're working on here, I made this little jumper lead here. This will go into the Walbro 450. This will go into the factory plug on the bottom side of the fuel pump hanger. So we are going to go ahead and just mount this up, and then that pump and fuel pump hanger will be ready to install. Find a nice way to route the plug itself on the hanger. Plug it in, done deals. So entire change of plans. We're going to do something different in the fuel pump assembly. Ordered parts. That stuff's going to be here on Saturday. So it's going to be a couple days we're waiting for that stuff, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get the tank wrapped up, thrown in the car, and start working on getting ready to move forward with the plumbing of the fuel tank. I got to pull the rocket wagon out of the shop. Basically, rocket wagon's just waiting for me to have time right now to install the parts. We are waiting on a few more things, but that video is going to be coming soon. But I just thought maybe you guys might enjoy a little rocket wagon eargasm, because this thing sounds really good when you cold start it. Alright guys, so it's Monday. Fittings finally showed up. We've been waiting all weekend for fittings to show up. Finally got the fittings we needed to show up. So the fitting we're going to use for our feed on our fuel pump, I'd just like to get this portion of it wrapped up so we can get this in the tank and then work our way forward. So what we're going to do is, this is the typical original feed line that comes off the center of the pump here. That just ain't going to do it for us. So we're going from this tiny little feed right there to that right there. So you can see there's a significant difference. So this is a Dash 8 AN bulkhead fitting, and it goes to a hose barb. This is 5/16 hose barb. I realize now I could have probably got away with 3/8 hose line, but this is definitely going to do it for us. So there's really only one place on this pump you can actually mount this and have it work properly, and that is right next to the feed line here. You can see the fuel feed normally comes out of the center right over here, and this is really our only room right in here for us to be able to mount this. So we're going to go ahead and mark this out, drill it, and mount this, and then this will actually go, and I have, of course I don't have it here today, but I have the 5/16 PTFE fuel line coming with, or coming in the mail I should say. So that should be here today. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this. And we popped our hole in here. We worked back a little bit of the rust. Pretty self-explanatory thing. There's two parts to it. There's a nut on the bottom, and there's two PTFE. I guess these would be isolator washers. There's one that will stay on the fitting and you slide it through. You'll put the other isolator, PTFE fitting, washer deal on the bottom, tighten everything up, make sure it's Cheerio, and then we will run from this down to our fuel pump, and this will go to our feed, our Dash 8 feed line. All right, so we went ahead and installed that bulkhead fitting. You can see there, that's the final placement. We went ahead and capped the original feed line here and capped the feed line on the inside of the pump, which you guys can see there. Nothing really crazy. This is all tightened up, so then we will run our 5/16 PTFE in-tank fuel line, submersible, PTFE, blah, 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 fuel line, and it'll go from here, clamped on, to the top of the pump, clamped on, and it'll be a done deal. So at this point, once the feed line shows up, which should be today, we'll go ahead and drop this in the tank and move forward. Okay, you guys are gonna have to bear with me. So tank is in the car, and right now we are gonna start going about the deleting of the charcoal canister. And there's really no great videos on this online. I definitely looked. So here's the situation. So we're under the car. The charcoal canister would normally be here. You have 3 lines that come from the tank, one of which is a vent off of the fuel pump hanger. One of them is the actual vent for the tank, which is this big Johnny right here. And then there's also another one that is a vent that goes down inside of the tank. And how the charcoal canister works is it basically goes off of the vapors that are going in the tank, pushes back through the charcoal canister, and then allows fuel to flow through the top. So it's a constant siphon, basically. So you're not ever going to vapor lock, have air inside there that's, trapped. Is this one right here has a T on it, and it's got this thicker, I'd say it's probably 5/8 hose here, and then it's got this small little T that comes off. We're going to go ahead and remove this whole junction of trash out of the car. So all of this stuff is going to come out, and we're basically going to be left with this hose, and then this hose will end up going and getting capped, but not capped, but with a filter. This is a breather cap that I purchased at the auto parts store. And basically, normally what there is there's a straight inline union, then there's a T that comes up. And we're going to be removing that whole mechanism, and we are just going to go ahead and put in a, another union. This is a 1/2-inch hose union. And it will barely press into this. And then obviously we'll tighten the clamp up and everything, and then we will remove the fitting from up there, slide this in place, tighten it, and then this will be done. And then we will jump over to the other one little hose section right there that we're going to be using some sort of reducer to drop down in hose size to get to the size we need. Alright, so I'm going to do my best to illustrate this. This is the breather we landed with. It sits right in the location that the hose came from. And then the hose that goes to the top of the tank, we went ahead and cut. It normally would route up and over the top of this and hook into the valve that sits up in here. So we went ahead and cut this, and then we are going to take and hook this directly up to the hose that goes up towards the fill neck. Now there's a really precision way to bend this. It's called, you take some pliers and you give her a little bendy boy. Brand freaking new factory bend right there. Install your hose clamp, because gotta be clamping those hose. Slide this down onto this, pull this over here, tighten it, done deal. We're under the car now, so let's check out what we're going to be doing next. We're up to the point where our fuel lines are under the car, and we need to get them tied up and in a place that's going to be safe and happy. So we are going to be running along the inside of this rail here. This is the lower section of this rail. And basically what we are going to do here is secure these to this frame rail here, and then through this little brace piece we have here, I'm going to take, and we're going to drill 2 holes, top and bottom, and run this directly through the frame here. Now, why would I want to do that? Because there's no other way to keep these under the car, and if I go under them and we have a low spot or something, this is going to be the first thing that gets crunched. And like I said before, you do not want to have fuel pouring all over the place. So we are going to route these up in a nice way. I have a couple little hangers here we're going to use. We're going to drill a couple holes, go straight through, and then we will be able to work our way up towards the engine once we're past this point. Okay, so here's kind of what we ended up with. I still need to put a couple hangers to hold this in place to get up to this point. But we have drilled our holes now, and you guys can see that it pokes through. I have heat shielding around it to keep it insulated and everything from the metal here. And then on the same thing on the other side, another side's really hard to see because there's no light over here. But you guys can kind of still see. I went ahead and mounted my Dash 6 Chase Bay's fuel filter directly onto the frame rail here. So we will actually go and we will do a small section that will go to Dash 6 from this Dash 8 line. So that's what we're going to start working on now, is going directly to the fuel filter and then up. Alright, so what I figured out to this point is that basically we have removed the brake booster, we've removed the factory lines that come out into the engine bay that would be normally where you'd get your fuel from. This is our ethanol content sensor, and this is our fuel pressure dampener. Basically what this does is it dampens the fluctuation of fuel pressure inside of the fuel rail from the injectors taking fuel and then not taking it, so you don't have hammering lines and stuff like that. So we are going to end up running this more or less in this region with the ethanol content sensor going downwards. And basically the reason we want to do that is because instead of having the ethanol content sensor, the fuel pressure dampener, or the fuel pulsation dampener I should say, and then also the fuel filter all in the engine bay, there's no reason we can't start going down under the car and using the feed, or using the room we have under the car to mount these things. The biggest thing with that is obviously we have to keep the fuel pulsation dampener as close as possible to the fuel rails, and obviously there's not that big of a run going from where they split from 2 into 1 to here. So this is going to be the most effective place to put it for now, is here. Obviously if I had the ability, putting it in line on the actual fuel rail setup, in over here, that would be the most ideal scenario. But seeing as that just ain't gonna work for us, we are just gonna run it like this. After that, we're gonna go ahead and put the car back up on the lift, and we are going to go from Dash 8 to Dash 6 for our feed, and we are gonna go to our Chase Bay's Dash 6, I think it's a 10 micron fuel filter, and then that will feed into this, and then this will feed right into the rail itself. So we're gonna keep pushing here and hopefully be more or less wrapping this up soon here.
Guys, so I can finally talk again. I was super sick the last couple days, had like no voice, so I had to wait to finish this video. But basically the last thing we're going to want to talk about here is plumbing your fuel hanger in place. So basically this will just drop in place. This is the 5/16 PTFE submersible fuel hose I was referring to. Everything's on here good. So this is a good setup. This is our Dash 8 bulkhead fitting feed. This is our Dash 6 quick connect return. This should do it, but this is a lot of flow. So we're going to find out exactly what the skinny is with this car. So basically we're going to put that on there and start going for it. See what we can come up with, and see what we can learn at this point with this. So we are going to go ahead and start working on getting this in place. So you can see finally we got this more or less wrapped up. This cover we ended up having to modify to clear the feed line, so we have the feed line poking through, and we ended up having to remove a small amount of material over here. Not really a big deal, nothing significant, just a very small notch in the body here, so our fuel line has room to move. So when this is sitting on here, it's still totally protected. It's not going to be something that we're worried about getting snapped off or something. And I still might end up going and adding a rubber flap so this can perfectly seal back up here. But all in all, looks pretty good. When you remove this, you can see we have our Dash 8 feed, our Dash 6 return. Everything looks pretty good. Our vent hooked up to the other side of the tank is still hooked up, and then we have not actually gone ahead and hooked up our Hardwire Kit for the fuel pump. So we did not end up getting to the fuel pump at this point, and actually wiring in the power to the fuel pump. And basically the reasoning is because I want to go and actually make my own separate video for that. This is going to be a two-part series. So if you are looking to see the fuel pump hardwire install, make sure to stick around, because there's going to be a second part of this video, and it is going to be strictly about wiring in power to the fuel pump the best way possible without using a pass-through on the tank. Otherwise, basically everything we're doing right now in the fuel system is done. We're waiting on two fittings for hooking up the fuel pulsation dampener up to the fuel rails, and that's basically it. And then in the next video, I'll make sure to show you guys kind of the overview on everything, start to finish, front to back. And I'll try to give you guys a list of the exact parts list that we use to, I guess, do this. So hopefully that helps you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. And there is a ton of stuff in the near future. And you guys can expect to see some rocket wagon content coming up, because that will be coming up very soon. So make sure you guys smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and basically just let me know if you think there's anything I should be doing differently here. This is my first big fuel system, and I did this to what I thought was the closest to proper way. So I'm sure there's some room for improvements and things that I could have done differently. I'm sure there's probably somewhere out there a bulkhead fitting that was a direct 90, and we maybe wouldn't have had to clearance the body on the car. But working with what we have, this is totally fine. Jake's not upset about it. We're all good. And this thing will make some horsepower. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.